Hi guys, I'm Jules, and this is how I survive a trip from China to the US. So hi, if you're new here, my name is Jules and I make videos about veganism, travel, being an expat living in China, minimalism and environmentalism, and etc. And today I'm going to be talking about the trip I'm about to take from China, Shenzhen, to the US, JFK. And so I've been doing this a lot more lately than even before then, but I've taken a lot of long-haul international flights in my lifetime, and so I feel like I've gotten really down the tips and tricks that I would give someone, or like that make me most comfortable and most happy on my flights. I am not someone who gets nervous on flights or gets anxiety, so if that is you, then you need to find someone else to help you with that. But if it's just about like which things I should bring or how I should prepare, I am definitely a good go-to for that. Obviously, what I'm saying does not necessarily apply to everyone, but I'm hoping that you can use these kind of principles and ideas to help you figure out what you need for your flight. So I've broken everything up into a couple different categories because I thought that might make this a little bit easier to follow along. And so first I'm going to talk about food. So the things that you need to do to make sure that your food intake on your plane is easy and comfortable is, first of all, know which flights you're going to have food and how much. My flights are usually a 3-hour flight and a 15-hour flight. I make sure that my 3-hour flight is domestic in China, because in China I'm more likely to get food on the plane, whereas if I do my 15-hour flight from China to the US and then another 3 to 4 hour flight in the US, that second flight is less likely to have a meal provided. But this time around I might not be able to get a meal because, okay, so I'm vegan, and so I have to get special meals, and for some reason I couldn't like guarantee a special meal on my domestic flight this time around. So what I've done in preparation is I have myself a little bit of food. I don't mind buying food at the airport, but I just like had stuff to make, like I made like a quinoa chickpea salad, which that is what you should bring if you were bringing food, not that specifically, but like picnic food, something that like you could sit out all day and it should be fine. So like, and something that's obviously solid, like don't bring soup. And the other thing is, of course, order special meals ahead if you need to, and bring snacks. If you've never done a long haul flight before, and especially if you are someone that eats a lot, bring snacks, because like I have gotten to the point where I usually don't need them, but I'll sometimes pick something up at the airport, and obviously that's more expensive than bringing your own snacks, but definitely like make sure you have some snack, extra food, something when you're on the plane, so that you don't end up in a situation where you feel like you have to buy something on the plane, because those things are expensive and the variety's not as good and you'll just be less happy. The second category of thing I want to talk about is hydration. So if you don't know this already, airplanes are super dry, and like being on an airplane for a long time, most people get a little dehydrated. One of the reasons why I always get an aisle seat is because I like to hydrate myself a lot, and so I know I'm gonna be getting up a lot, and most people just like don't drink much and then don't pee much, and I'm not that person. So what you should do always for your actual flight is make sure you bring a water bottle, like a reusable water bottle. Obviously do not bring a filled water bottle, they will take that from you, and do not buy a water bottle in the airport because that will be expensive. But the little cups that they give you once every couple hours are not enough to sustain you for the duration of your trip. So if you bring a water bottle, and either after security if it's available, which in some countries it's more available, in some countries it's not. I know I can always get, like there's always a water station in Chinese airports, but in American airports there aren't always. And so either fill it up after security, or when you get on the plane, ask one of the flight attendants if they could fill your water bottle. They should be more than happy to do that. And then if you're ever thirsty, you just have it with you. The other things I like to do are like pre-preparation. Also just like as far as food goes, they have to put a lot of salt in the food because your taste buds don't work right when you're up in the air. And so if you're eating a lot more salt in your meals, which you are when you're on a plane, then like you also need to drink more water. So just don't not listen to me about the water, and sit in the aisle. And so my like pre-preparation stuff, I also make sure like to do a nice like skin hydration routine the night before I go on an airplane. Like, I will moisturize my whole body really well. I will do like a hydrating face mask or something, and so that's obviously not necessary, but if you have specific like skincare things that you do for like hydration station, then like do that, because that's a really good time to do it, and you will feel better if you like have all of that stuff. Like, your skin won't get like super out of whack, which sometimes can happen if you are on an airplane. Okay, so number 3 is how to stay clean and comfortable on an airplane. And so this is actually something that I don't see a lot of people talking about or like addressing, but I think is super important. That like, if you are on an airplane in an airport for 24 hours, you most likely aren't going to get the opportunity to shower in that time, and you probably usually do, and you're like cramped in a small space, and like I just tend to feel like roadier, like I feel like airplaney. So like, for me, some of the things I do to make sure that is minimized, number 1 is make sure you have a toothbrush and toothpaste. I know, like, for me, when I'm going to the US, I don't need to bring toothpaste with me because I'm going to my parents' house and they have toothpaste. But, like, I make sure that I have toothpaste, toothbrush on the plane, so that if, like, at some point in that 24 hours I'm going to brush my teeth, maybe once or twice, just makes you feel a little fresher, a little bit better. The same of like having your, like, maybe having your face wash easily accessible. That's not something I always do, but it is something that, like, on my layovers I have a lot of time, so sometimes I'll like wash my face, brush my teeth, stuff like that. The other thing is have a spare pair of underwear and socks. Some people maybe say this for like, just in case something horrible happens and you piss your pants, but like, which is like maybe true, but the real reason is because if you're in the same socks and underwear for 24 hours, you're not gonna feel great. And like, I know that that's like a little bit, you know, like, oh, fancy pants like need 2 pairs of socks per day, but really it's something that like in the last couple of flights I've made a point, especially with socks, to like have an extra pair that like between my flights I can switch, or like sometime during my flight I can switch, because for some reason my feet get hot and sweaty when I'm on an airplane, which I don't really understand. I don't know where that comes from, but it does happen. So the next category, which kind of, all of these things bleed into this, but like this is more about specifically that thing, which is comfort. So like I said, have the socks, have extra, like, you know, brush your teeth, whatever you need, if that makes you feel comfortable, but like I'm talking specifically about like getting your ass to sleep. For me, I'm really good at sleeping on planes, so that's not like a super big problem, but I have tried a couple different things to assist with that. So one of those things, you know, like I've tried melatonin, I've tried like Advil PM or generic brands thereof, but for me, mostly I don't like to take those things while I'm flying. But I'd say like, especially if you're a little nervous, like try it out, see what you think of adding those things into your flight routine, because if they do help you fall asleep, then you're going to have just a much better time. Like I mentioned before, I do prefer aisle seats over window seats. For me, the reason is because I like to be able to get up and down, up and down, up and down, but you do get a little extra room in the aisle seat, even though you probably get more room in the window seat with the window, but like me laying against the window isn't as comfortable as me being able to like put my leg up or something at like in the aisle, and also just again the convenience of being able to get up and down for me is worth it. The other thing that newly added to my sleepy time stuff is that I do bring a sleeping mask. I've only used a sleeping mask twice on a flight before, but it did really help with like helping me sleep, but like it's not something I normally use, but I did enjoy that, and so that's something I'm going to keep bringing. Something I always bring is either a sarong or a scarf, so if I'm going somewhere warm, or it's like in the summer, then I usually just bring my sarong because I don't need like a scarf for comfort. But this time around I'm bringing this big old scarf, which is new, and I got it when I was in Taiwan, and you will see that when I eventually edit those videos and post them. Yeah, so like a big scarf, because they will give you a blanket on a long haul flight, definitely. But airplanes are cold, airports are cold. And so having something extra, either as an extra blanket if you're really cold. If you know that you get cold, just ask for a second blanket also, they might have one. But I also can use it, like ball it up, make it like an extra neck pillow and stuff like that, so it ends up being like a really good source of comfort for me. The other thing is actually having a pillow. So there have been times where I brought like extra like plushy things, and stuff that have been nice pillows, but my standard go-to is this neck pillow. Honestly, I don't think that it's perfect. Like, if I were to buy it again, I would buy a different one, but it still is like quite soft and fluffy, and honestly I end up doing like this a lot, where like I'm not using it as intended, but I am using it as a pillow. And so that's like the pillow, the scarf, the face, like the eye mask, those are all things that are like not super necessary, but if you're going to be on a plane for 15 hours, like you want comfort. And for me, like having a couple different things that I can move to one place, fall asleep, and then wake up and move to another place and fall asleep, like those are really, really important for me. As far as comfort goes, the other thing is what you are wearing. Be comfortable. When I see people in heels and jeans on a flight, I can't. Like, I just don't understand. For me, comfort means layers, first of all. So like I've got a t-shirt, I've got a flannel, and I've got a sweater. I probably won't spend the entire flight wearing all of these things, but if I get cold, I have more things I can put on, and if I get warm, I can have things I can take off. The other thing is that I bring pajamas. Like, I don't do this for the shorter flight, but when I get onto that second flight, when I'm like getting ready to sleep, like I will put on pajama pants because they're more comfortable and like it helps me sleep. Again, like really know yourself, figure out what's gonna make you more comfortable, but like don't be afraid to be silly or like to look weird, because like if you're not comfortable, you're gonna have a less good flight. So for me, that means pajama pants every time, no matter what. Don't care who's looking. It's a 15-hour flight. I want to sleep. I'm gonna wear pajamas. And the final thing another thing as far as comfort goes, I usually bring some sort of like slipper or flip-flop or something, because I'm going to take off my shoes. And so I don't want to have to re-put on my sneakers every single time. So what I will do is I'll usually have like flip-flops or something that when I need to go to the bathroom or get up, I can put those on. Again, a little bit more of just like a comfort convenience thing. Okay, we are getting towards the end. We are at number 5, which is entertainment. So obviously most long haul flights will have like, you get like basically a personal little like touchscreen iPad thing where you can pick movies. So that's usually fine. If you're doing international flights, check the airline that, like think about the airline that you're actually flying. So I've flown some Chinese airlines where they only had like 1 or 2 movies that were in English, and most of their Chinese movies you couldn't get English subtitles. So like that, Air China, by the way. Don't fly Air China, sorry. But like that made the experience a lot less comfortable because like the movies on the plane themselves. That's something you kind of learn the more you fly. Like I've done international flights to and from China and the US, maybe 4 or 5 different airlines at this point. So like I know which ones I like better. But if it's your first time going in and you don't know, then make sure you have backup entertainment. So that might be reading for you, that might be movies, that might be TV shows. I usually do a combination of a couple things. Like I'll always have a book, I'll have something to write on, because sometimes I like to write or like plan, or you know, like in my head by the time I land my entire life has been planned out. So like I always bring something to write on just in case that actually happens. I will always have something to read, something to write on. I will download something on Netflix, whether it's a TV show, whether it's movies, and I'll also have podcasts downloaded, because sometimes that's nice for like when you're kind of half awake and don't really want to do anything. And also, of course, I have music. As like, if there are other forms of like entertainment that are going to work for you though, definitely try try a couple different things. This is where I feel like having a light backpack is not worth it if you like need more things to entertain yourself for 15 hours, especially if you are not an airplane sleeper. And if you don't know yet if you're an airplane sleeper, assume you need to use all those 15 hours. And my final kind of little tip is to make sure that you exercise the day that you leave, and make sure that you move around while you're on the plane. So even if it's a small amount of exercise or just some stretching, like don't skip exercise because you're stressed about traveling and then feel like stiff and disgusting on the plane. And like, again, reasons why to have an aisle seat. Get up, move, like walk up and down. Like I do this all the time. I walk up and down, I stretch. Like I do not care what other people think of me on the plane. Like I just want to be comfortable. And for me, that means every couple hours at least, sometimes more, depends on if I'm not sleeping well, especially. Like, get up, walk around, do some stretches. Okay, so I think that is it. Those are my top tips for surviving a long-haul flight, or at least the ways that I plan to try to survive my long-haul flight. Wish me luck. I'm going to be in the US in, I guess, like 24 hours, something like that. So I'm really excited, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed them. Please come back for all of the videos of my trip to Taiwan that I have not yet edited, but I'm definitely gonna do on the plane.